Welcome to the Big Fat Real Estate Checks podcast with Marco Kozlowski, where we help investors like you get the knowledge and skills you need to replace your JOB with passive cash flow for life.
Hey, Marco here. I really wanted to share with you our earlier podcasts that we created. Now, our mics were not the best, but the content was really strong, and I know you will learn a lot. We had an absolute blast recording this, and I know you're absolutely going to love it as much as we loved recording it. This extremely content-rich information will not only give you the edge in your real estate investing business, but in everyday life. Enjoy. Welcome back to an episode that could be frightening and exciting both at the same time. We're going to be talking about lemons to lemonade, situations that were terrible at the time, but turned into profit centers or opportunities for us. And there are going to be issues constantly in life, and you have two choices. One is you can see it as the world is over. It's insurmountable obstacle. It's the worst thing ever. Or you can look at it as an opportunity and how can we turn lemons into lemonade. And that's kind of what we're going to discuss today. We've chosen a random sampling of things that have happened. Some might scare the shit out of you, but we ended up making pretty good business out of it. And understand that if you have skills and knowledge and have the right action plan, that pretty much anything can be turned into an opportunity if you just look at it in the right way. Plenty of those, actually. And even with my own house, there was something that happened where, maybe I'll share with this that story at the end of this. But let's start with who wants to go first. Gabe, you want to start?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
So I had a condo in Montreal, and one day I get a call and say, so there's a fire in your apartment. I'm like, a fire? So obviously the first thing I do is call on the tenant, who's actually a disabled older man. So I wasn't able to reach him, and I tried to reach his son just to make sure that he was all right. First things first is, we're humans, so you got to make sure that everybody's okay. So speaking to the son, turns out, yes, the gentleman was okay. He had just forgotten a pot on the stove, and basically fell asleep. And his, I don't know if it was a cleaning lady that came in to help out, and she saw that. And basically the whole kitchen was finished. But because of the smoke, the entire ceiling, some of the floorings, everything was pretty much impacted in the unit. So I get this call, and now I'm, at the beginning you panic a little bit. And the next step is you have to call the insurance right away. And again, this was in a condo building, so a lot of the other units, neighboring units, so the sprinklers came on and all that. So there's a lot of water in the unit, but there's also a lot of water in the hallways. So other people's units were actually impacted. So I'm freaking out a little bit here. I won't lie at the beginning, because I'm thinking like, crap, like I'm responsible for all the units, not just mine. Yeah.
So there's rubber duckies in the hallway.
People are taking showers.
That's right. So
wow.
Well, yeah. So, but at the end of the day, once I got through the calling the insurances speak to each other, and once the report comes out, they say, well, okay, well, we're going to redo your kitchen, we're going to redo your flooring, because all the water damage made that it was hardwood flooring that was bubbling up, so they had to change all that. And even the bathroom was impacted, so I got a brand new bathroom. And I'm like, okay, so what's the damage on this? And they're like, well, your deductible's $500. I'm like, wow. So I got a brand new apartment for $500, and it turns out that the insurance also in that covered all the other damage to the other units, the neighboring units, all the water damage in the hallways. So from a pretty shitty situation, I ended up with a unit that's probably worth at least $40,000-$50,000 more than it was worth before that call. And in the process, I actually, when that gentleman left the following year, because he had to go to a property that was more suitable for his handicap, I was able to actually charge a lot more for rent. I think I got an extra $150 a month for rent because it was a more modern type of unit. So that's one way lemons turned into lemonade for me.
Yeah, nice. Another $1,800 a year or $1,500 a
Yeah.
year in your pocket, which goes straight to your bottom line.
Yeah, and the return on investment is insane because $500. So what's 1,800 divided by 500? That's 300% return my first year.
Wow, you did that pretty quick in your head. Yeah, I'm still carrying the 3.
I'm not
like-
I'm not even started that calculation.
He's like,
Frank's looking
that's
for his
math.
calculator.
I'm just thinking of the rubber duckies. I'm
He's
just
still
picturing like that one kitchen fire, how it affected the whole condo building, where literally everyone has a soggy couch, and that's terrible.
Well, all these sprinklers are kind of intertwined somehow, and they just it's a security measure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and water is a pretty terrible thing. Water damage is pretty bad, right, Frank?
Water is horrible. It brings back memories, horrible memories. It was actually one of our first houses that me and Linda got. And it literally was one of the houses that we didn't have to do much to it. We went in and like, shit, it's not bad. Just a good cleanup and a little bit of paint here and there. But other than that, it was solid. And I remember getting our first tenant. We vetted the tenants and we approved them, and we said, okay, listen, you're responsible for the utilities, so go to the city, get the water on, get the electricity on before you move in. And typically when they do this, so she was supposed to move in that weekend, so she went, I guess, on a Friday or a Saturday, whatever it was. Actually, on a Friday, it was a weekday. But she wasn't there. And usually the city will not turn on the water or the electric unless someone's home, right? In case shit happens. And for some reason, they went without anyone being at the premises. And once they turn on the water, typically they're supposed to also stay there to make sure that the little needle on the meter doesn't keep spinning, which means there's water consumption going on.
There's a leak.
Yeah. So they didn't do that. And then when the tenant came with her U-Haul truck on the Saturday, they opened the door and a shitload of water came out. I got some pictures that day. And I got a text and she goes, I can't move in. She goes, I can't move in your house. Sorry. And then she said something about there's a swimming pool in the back. And I was like, what? Did she misunderstood the lease? Maybe she was expecting a swimming pool.
Right.
It wasn't a swimming pool. I go, what the fuck? So
they didn't want
I
one.
tried getting a hold of her and I go, what's the problem? Why aren't you moving in? And then she sent me these pictures without replying back. She just sent the pictures. And literally I saw these pictures that scared. Remember, I'm in Toronto. Okay, this property was in Florida. So I got these pictures, literally picture a chandelier with water coming out of it. She videotapes the little clips. Water is coming out of the chandelier, out of the light sockets. The ceiling, the drywall is caved in parts.
Alligator swimming.
So so you understand, we got this, and we're in Toronto, and that's all she sends. And I'm like, what the heck can you? And I'm trying to phone her, and like she's not picking up. And I go, what the heck's going on? So finally, I got a hold of her, and I go, what's the problem? She goes, I sent you the pictures. What don't you understand? I go, how did that even happen? She goes, well, I'm having dinner now. I'm like, what the fuck, you having dinner? I go, can you tell me what's going on with the house? She goes, well, the water's running. I go, did you shut anything off? She goes, I don't know how. I go, did you phone the city? She goes, no. I go, great. At this point, I'm sure the damage was already done. So I phoned the city. Luckily, there's an emergency line for the city on the weekend. And they went out and obviously they shut the water. But man, what it was a water heater. I guess when they built the house, they didn't want to put it on the ground floor. They put the water heater in the attic. Who puts the water heater in the attic? But I can't even explain that one. But they put the water heater in the attic, and I guess when they turned on the water, sometimes with more fragile pipes, it burst with the pressure going all at once, and that's what happened. It just kept leaking, and it made a disaster out of a home. There was a 4-bedroom house that was literally, it was intact. Everything was good. I had it rented. It was beautiful. So I was peeved. I was like, how am I going to get, what am I going to do? So I phoned the insurance, like I do have insurance, which is very important to have insurance.
Very important to have insurance.
And actually they were trying to find fault with negligence for the city because they can't be doing that.
Right.
But in the end, I don't know, that's between their battle. But in the end, everything had to be gutted. There was over $35,000 worth of damage.
I'm surprised it was only $35,000.
Yeah.
It was $35,000. It was carpet. It didn't end up that way in
Did
the
they
end.
save the chandelier though?
The chandelier was sadly not saved.
Rest in peace, chandelier.
Didn't make it.
We love
Actually,
you.
everything had to be gutted. It was 35. The bones were good, but it was 35. They had to dry out the 2x4. So the studs, nothing wrong with the studs.
No
So it was
more.
all sheetrock. Everything had
Well,
to
they
be
cut it
there.
pretty quick, right? So
Yeah.
So all the sheetrock had to come down. Yes, the carpet had to be removed.
You're
and all
lucky
that.
she was moving in that day.
Well, listen, I know it was an inconvenience for her, but she went to dinner, and you send a picture like that, and then you go,
like, I'm busy.
you go chow down on
She
some
didn't.
pasta.
Obviously, she didn't care.
She didn't care.
Yeah.
It's not her property.
It's not her property, not a problem. Although she has no place to live because she's coming there with a U-Haul.
Yeah.
If I had no place to live, I'd be a little bit more upset than just send a few pictures saying I can't move in.
True. I guess
That's kinda weird.
Yeah, it is. You know what?
Isn't that kind of weird?
A little bit.
If I was moving in a new place and I couldn't move in, I'd be a little bit pissed. But anyway.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, that's what renter's insurance is for too, and I always advocate that to the tenants. And if they would have had that, then or maybe she did have it. I don't know.
So what happened? So the place got there's now a swimming pool not in the back.
35 grand. With
35 grand worth of damage.
Yeah.
What happened?
So my deductible on that was I phoned the insurance company. They got the adjuster back out there, and they determined everything had to be gutted, and including the kitchen. Even though the kitchen didn't get too much damage, but because they couldn't color match the cabinets, they ripped them all out, which was great. So the insurance covered everything. I paid my deductible. Again, it wasn't much. It wasn't $500. I think it was like $2,000 or $3,000.
Still.
With that, we got we didn't have the carpet no more. We got nice hardwood floors. We got crown molding with that.
Did you pay extra for that because they obviously want to replace for carpet?
I did. I paid very little.
Mm.
It was the difference between, and it wasn't really much. I got the laminate with the hardwood on top of it. It's just a little slimmer. So basically, I think I paid an extra 30 cents or 40 cents a foot, which is peanuts.
Yeah.
From going from carpet to the hardwood.
That's right. We just want to make sure that the listener understands that the insurance will cover for what the replacement
It's
cost
the replacement.
is, right?
The insurance covered 90% of the cost,
That's
or
right.
95% of the cost.
It was 95.
To increase the value of the property, remember that. Which means if it's renovated, did you get more rent after that?
Absolutely.
And if you're doing a lease option, I'm not sure what your exit strategy was, but if you're putting more improvements into the property, if you're putting an extra $35,000-$40,000 worth of repairs, guess what? Now the value of the property is at least that or more.
The value of the property did go up because obviously it was a new kitchen, new fixtures, new floors, new drywall, new paint, new baseboards, new quarter rounds.
It's like a brand new house.
So other than the windows, and actually the internal doors were also changed too, a few of them. So other than those, it was literally the whole house was done. So we didn't do a lease option on that one. We did a straight out lease, but we did get $250 more a month for it.
That's an extra $3,000 a year.
It is, and so something from that ordeal, like that was a nightmare. If you haven't gone through that before and you see pictures and you're not there to physically hop in your car and drive over there, which
would have made zero difference. I think it's just this perception of comfort that you can shut the water yourself, and right, because at the end of the day,
the fear is not knowing what the hell is going on. Okay, exactly. The water's there, and then at one point, I think that night I was like, shit, whatever. If the water's running, we're just gonna get a bigger bill, which actually they did cover.
They should have, because
they covered them. Yes,
it was
fault.
Technically you didn't ask to have it turned on, so they shouldn't have charged you or billed you anyway.
Yeah, so that was covered. Tenant, I was a new tenant that moved in, but it went through several months. And what I did have on my insurance was because I had a lease. So this is important. So because I had a lease in place, and because of the type of insurance I have, I always get what's called a loss of use.
Yes.
A loss of use is if it's a rental property, which it was, and you're unable to rent it for any circumstance, a fire, flood, whatever, hurricane, then they will give you, the insurance company will give you the amount of the lease as if someone was there. So for 4 months, it was vacant because they had to rehab it.
And you got paid for it.
I got paid for that, plus I got a new house with the upgrades, plus at the end of that, the value of the house went up.
Sure.
And the rent went up. So from a catastrophe or from a devastating point of view, there's for-profit centers there that I was able to get out of it. So that's definitely a lemon to
nice lemonade.
That's nice. That's very sweet lemonade, actually.
And again, the same thing happened now, but I didn't freak out this much with my properties up in Panama City, Florida. They got hit by a devastating hurricane last year, Hurricane Matthews in October. It was literally 3 miles.
2 years ago.
Oh fuck! It was 2 years ago. So yeah.
No,
it was last year. No, it was last year. October.
2019.
Yeah.
2018.
Oh my goodness, 2018. Oh my goodness, yes. Sorry, my bad.
Strong
Yes.
suit is mad for Frank.
Yes. Well, technically, from a calendar perspective, it's a year and 4 months.
Fair enough.
Yes.
All right, so it's not 2 years.
Yes.
It's 2 years on the.
It could be 2017 when they're watching.
You're
this.
right. That's true. So it's 2 years ago in 2018. Panama City did get devastated by a hurricane. It was a Cat 4 on record, but technically it was 3 miles an hour less shy than a Category 5. It devastated the whole city. We have 3 properties up there. 2 of them, one of them got almost leveled. We're talking roof, and it's still like that as of today. I literally just got
There's
a
no
contractor
tenant
now.
in there?
No tenant.
Thank
Well,
God.
there was a tenant in there.
Are they
Well, many
safe?
people during the time of the hurricane moved from Panama City Beach inland, and that's where I was.
Expecting.
Meanwhile, Panama City Beach had sustained less damages than inland.
Just because of the bands.
It's just
and
the
how
way
it
it
works.
was, and basically where my properties was, that was where they got
Got nailed the most. Yeah.
And so we're talking roof went flying out, and part of the wall flew out. So that was devastating. So I had 3 houses there. One got damaged, but not severe damage. Like the whole roof had to be replaced. Some things inside. There was projectiles. I had 100-foot pines in the backyard. Quite a few of them. Some of them were like missiles,
Yeah.
and went literally right through the walls. You could see the hole. They made a clear like circle, man. It's messed up.
That's crazy.
If someone was in there, that would have been
Stories.
very bad. And luckily they weren't. But something like that, we got fixed right away.
No kidding.
So no, well, hold on a sec. Well, really, the one that should have been fixed was the one where the roof was literally you can see the sky. You had a natural skylight.
Yeah,
but-
convertible.
But unfortunately, that one wasn't done first because I couldn't find the contractor to do all that work right away because obviously contractors were
Really busy.
very scarce. So I found the roofer to take care of that and a handyman to take care of the one that was sustained less damage. So with that one, with the hurricane, because 2/3 of the housing in Panama City were wiped out, literally wiped out, they're inhabitable. The rent for that house that I fixed that sustained less damage tripled. So it's $1,400 regularly a month. I had insurance companies calling us, can we rent your property? And they'll furnish it for over $3,500. And they were like literally begging us because they have to place their own people. And it was
It's very sad.
It is sad because when you go there and you see the people, I've seen images and people don't know, like you're literally your whole life savings, everything's ripped out, and where are these people going to go with families? And there wasn't too many 3-2s, because 3-bedroom, 2 baths, that were available that were livable. And once we got that fixed, which was pretty much a month after, 2 months after, I had so many people calling and wanting. I actually got scared. Because I thought people are going to start breaking into this house to get into it because people want it. People were paying insane dollars to get a house.
crazy.
So that was on that one. And the other 2 properties, similar to your deal with the water damage. On that one, the insurance adjuster goes out because everyone was in a frenzy. The insurance adjuster goes out. They assess the damage. They overshoot the damage. So they on one of the other houses, they assessed the damage at $25,000 or it was about $28,000. But really, when my contractor went in there, they put about 20. There was 9,000 left over, and the way it works in the U.S., which doesn't work like this in Canada, is the insurance company when they do the assessment, they go, "Here's your 29,000. You're on your own, kiddo."
Yep, fix it.
And so I got a contractor. I gave him the report. I said, "Here, can you fix these things?" But some of the things didn't have to be fixed. They said, "Change the floors, change this, change that," and the contractor's saying, "The floor is good, man. There's nothing wrong with here. There's nothing wrong with the garage door. It has something bent, but it's one of those metal ones. They can bang it back, paint it." So we actually made $9,000 from that. Not intentionally. It was just a shortfall. They go, "We don't have to replace that. We don't have to." And they go, "They want to replace." I go, "Does it need replaced?" And they said no. So I go, "Don't bother." So on that one you made $9,000. The same thing with the one that I fixed right away. I made kind of $15,000. So I made money on that, and I made money on the supply and demand situation too. So
Sucks to be frank.
it sucks, but you know what? They say war and disaster does generate money, and that's
Too bad. Yep.
that's what happens. But yeah, those are my stories on that.
Well, mine are a little different. I do have quite a few insurance-related ones. I had one mobile home park that had very old mobile homes in it. I had replacement value on the not replacement value, but replacement value to a comparable product. And and they were like 1970s trailers, 1980s, but in fairly good condition. And tornado went by, no one was hurt, and I actually got 2,000. All the insurance company would give us were the values on 2,000 year 2000 units, which are literally like the Taj Mahal compared to these old things. But I went from 1970s, early 1980s units to 2000 to 2004 units, and a couple 2014 units, which were that year, and was able to almost double my rent because of it. So I went from having a pretty shady mobile home park, like Shady Pines, to a top-notch mobile home park that had brand new units in it, and that was actually quite good, and also a natural disaster. But
So the insurance company gave you the money to replace those units, and they just gave
Yes.
you units that were like 3 decades newer?
yes,
Because obviously they're not
You
going to go
can't
look.
find it.
Well, they're not going to go looking around for 1970s.
well, 1970s
trailers and
you can
go-
get one for free. It's the moving cost, and you have to get a license to move them, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. And they were like, okay, well, they just priced out whatever. They gave us almost $15,000 to $20,000 a unit,
Wow.
and you can get some pretty good units for
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
and it's at 50 units. It was a pretty nice insurance check. And I don't think we actually made money on the claim, but we definitely improved the park as much as we could on the claim.
You're making
allowing
on the
us-
rents. Yeah.
because the rents is where the money's going to be. If I could charge an extra $100 a month times 50 units, that's $5,000 a month. I'd rather make 5,000 a month than keep 10,000.
That's for
And
sure.
you're saving money on maintenance because those old ones, I know how they are. They can suck you with maintenance.
Well, we ended up actually selling the units back to the tenants because we went from a rental model to a lease option model, which made us even more money. So it was $1 million almost in benefits to us, which is not a bad day at the office.
Pretty good lemonade right
But
there.
I'm going to share not that story, which is almost kind of similar. It's going to be more of a note being called. So a lot of ways how we buy properties is taking over debt. And we actually took over a debt on a property. And the title company owner was a brother of the small bank that we took over this debt. So we closed at a title company, and generally, we close and it's over. But the brother was in on the, and we didn't find out this till much, much later. The brother actually told the owner of the bank that this was going on, and they called the note due because there was a change in zoning. There were some games that were coming in, and the park was going to go from a really kind of, I'd say, questionable area of town into like a really good area of town. There was some gentrification that was happening, and it went from a shitty area to a good area very, very quickly. They said, screw it, we're going to call the loan due. Now, in Florida, which I've done business in Florida for a very long time, when something goes into foreclosure, it can take 6 months, 8 months, 9 months before it actually gets foreclosed. You get notice, you get 3 months, and it takes a while, right? And this was in Alabama. They can actually foreclose like in a month.
That's expedited service.
It's a very expedited service. So and I thought, okay, well, I'll have time to fix this. Find the notes called due. We'll just go to a bank, we'll refinance it, it'll be done. Because the interest rate was actually pretty high on that loan. Anyway, surprise, surprise, find out that we just have to wait 3 Mondays or 3 Tuesdays, I can't remember now. As long as they put the ad in the paper, it's a non-judiciary process. As long as they publish it in the paper, they can get the property back. And that kind of was terrifying, right? Because usually foreclosure means you lose your property, you lose the farm, and it's over. Now, to find a lender that will refinance a property when it's going into foreclosure, not because we did anything wrong, not that we missed a payment, the bank just wanted the note back, like they wanted to take this property back. So we were kind of wondering why and how this was actually happening.
And can that happen on any
Well,
mortgage? Really?
Any mortgage.
The why, I think we know why the why. If there was something coming there, some kind of new development that was going to change the asset class for that area, and from a C to a B minus or something like that, there's value in that property. And
the property value basically doubled.
They got, well, there you go. They got selfish. So the why, you knew the why, but you don't know why.
I didn't know the why at the time. So here I am, like, holy shit. And finding a lender, like I said, that will actually refinance when it's in foreclosure is not that easy.
No.
So we, the only way we could save this, because we just didn't have time, is to have the company, not me personally, the company declare bankruptcy. Because if you declare bankruptcy, it stops all.
There's a stay of proceedings, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it gives us chapter 11. So
Now, is that specific to Alabama? Sorry, just for the listener who maybe is
there's
confused.
chapter 9 and chapter 11. So chapter 11 is restructuring. Basically puts the federal government. It's across the United States, and the federal government at that point owns the property. It's like in a trust.
Chapter 11.
Chapter 11, right? So no creditors can call if there's a foreclosure.
Nobody can touch it.
It's basically under federal protection at this point.
Okay.
Okay. And it allows restructuring to be able to do whatever needs to be done in order to fix the problem. So now I have a property that's in foreclosure and in bankruptcy. All right, which is I'm stalling for time. You got that? Okay. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
All right. So we now I still don't know that the title company is in cahoots with the bank. Like zero idea. Okay. So we go through the process. I actually find a lender that understands what happened. Right. That the note was called. We didn't miss any payments. We showed our payments stubs. Everything was done right. And the bank just decided to call the note, and we're in this position. And the only reason we're in bankruptcy is because of the bank.
Yeah.
The sale date is imminent, right? And we had to put a stop to it. And we went bankrupt like the day before the sale. All right, so we stalled it as long as we could.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So we find a lender, right, who is okay with all this stuff, and we're basically getting ready to close, and then we make an agreement with the courts that if they, we couldn't refinance while it was in foreclosure. I mean, in bankruptcy, you can't do it. So we had to lift it in order to refinance.
Yeah.
So the bank agreed to not foreclose on the property until the Monday after our closing, which was scheduled on a Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
But they didn't know. Hold on a second.
So
So they didn't know that you had another lender in
no,
place.
they knew.
Oh, they knew that.
They
Okay.
knew that on Friday we would have a lender, all right, and that we would close. And on Monday, if we didn't perform
And
on Friday, they would
But
have
they
the right.
had the right to take
So
the property back.
yes, but whatever the dates aligned, a couple weeks later,
Gotcha.
it worked out. So we get ready to close. Right? I fly to Alabama for the closing, and the title company decided to take a day off that day.
no.
Now, okay, well, this shit, I smell bullshit here. So, because the brother,
Well, yeah, but we didn't know this.
I don't know.
he didn't know this.
All I know
okay.
is that all the
What is
everyone.
it, gone fishing? Out everyone's got the flu.
We
in Alabama.
we're not open
Pitches
today. We're just not
sign,
open today for business.
Wow. All right.
Now, remember, we've agreed with the courts and signed off that
Yeah.
we're okay with them taking the property back
Yes.
if we don't close on Friday. Bank wires the money to the title company. Everything's ready to go, but there's no one to close the deal. So what's going to happen Monday?
I don't know.
I've already gone bankrupt. I've already played that card, right?
Yeah, you played that card. You can't.
And on Monday, I lose the property.
Somebody's got to be open Saturday or Sunday.
Well, we can't do pull title. We can't. The money's already at the bank, at the title company.
Was there a specific
Transactional
date?
funding.
Oh, hold on a sec.
Transactional.
Was there a specific date stamp on or time stamp on the thing? Because I know with court documents, they time not only the date.
Yeah. If
but
you're in a
the time.
different zone, no.
So did you have specific?
No.
Transactional funding.
There's no this is Friday. It's like
a
what am I
cliffhanger.
gonna do? Like I don't know what to do.
I think I need popcorn.
Yeah.
Suspense.
So do you want to stop this and continue next time?
Yeah, I think we're gonna tell you next time. Actually, can you pass me my water real quick? Thanks.
Well, this is okay. Well, this is really interesting. A lot of moving parts here, and obviously.
So now we have a bank
collusion.
We have a bank that's agreed to give us the loan. They're ready for closing. They've signed off on everything else. We're supposed to close on a Friday. So on Thursday, all the docs get prepared. On Friday, the title company has an emergency of some kind and just decides not to be open so they can give their employees a break on that Friday. So on Monday, it forecloses. We lose the property.
Oh, so it went through. You didn't battle. You didn't say, hey,
There's nothing
man.
we could do. I went to my bankruptcy lawyer, and they're like, "There's nothing we can do. We can tell the bank. We can we can talk to the bank, the lawyers, everything else. But it was done, and they actually went to sale at 10:00 in the morning on Monday.
Well, that sucks. I was expecting some kind of Avengers.
But no, we're not done.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
So it foreclosed.
I
You buy it back.
So now in the state of Alabama, there's a redemption period. A redemption period means you have 1 year from the day it was foreclosed to actually buy it back from whoever purchased it.
1 year.
1 year. All right. Now in Florida, there's no redemption period because
Okay.
it's a judiciary process. That's when you have time to save it. In Alabama and other states, Alabama is not the only one. Your redemption period is 1 year after it was foreclosed. So if someone purchases it at the courthouse steps and you have a year to redeem it for whatever it was purchased for ish.
Okay.
Got it? So the bank had already sold it to someone else
Brother.
on the Tuesday, by the Tuesday, to another company for a lot more than what they had foreclosed it for.
Because of the new development, because of the new.
They did not believe that we were going to be able to close because now, not only did we go, not only were we in foreclosure, not only were we in bankruptcy, it was foreclosed on. We didn't honor our agreement because we were supposed to close on Friday and we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's getting worse and worse.
So
Wow.
the bank has basically written us off at this point, right? Like
The bank that was supposed to lend you the
so
money.
they took back the property and then they had already flipped it to another group of theirs that we later found that also the bank had ties with. And at that point, I was like, okay, now we need to find a lender that is okay with foreclosure, bankruptcy, losing the property, and all the other shit that's going on with the
So
property.
the original lender they did find, it was
And
willing to take.
that's in redemption. So they have to understand redemption as well.
So the other lender that you did find where you were in foreclosure and you filed BK was okay initially, but then they bailed after
Well,
it went to foreclosure.
So redemption wasn't on their checklist of things that they could do.
Understood. So
So
they were
even though we could have closed on Monday, it was no longer in their box of things
Okay.
that they were able to do.
Wow.
So now we have to find a lender, an asset-based lender, remember, that is okay with bankruptcy, foreclosure,
Redemption.
and redemption. All right, and explain all this. And that is not an easy lender to find, but guess what? Since I've been doing this for a while, I knew someone that knew someone else, and we actually got it redeemed, which really pissed the bank off because they had actually had to write a check in order to honor whatever that amount was. So they can't, they're only allowed to price it up a very small percentage because we have redemption rights for whatever they took it back for. So if they sell it for $3 million more, they can't, right? So there's only a small amount that they can mark it up for me to buy it back.
So then when you bought it back with this new lender, can you have, at that point, if you wanted to, I don't know the end of the story, I'm sure you're going to tell us, can you still have those other buyers buy it for that profit?
Well, I didn't want to do that. I bought the
okay.
property. The property doubled in value.
Okay.
I was into this property for about $1 million. It's worth about $4 million now.
Okay.
So is it worth fighting over a $3 million equity spread? The answer is absolutely. So it's it's a 76 unit property that in a really nice area of Alabama. So it was a interesting process. So one, our property increased in value quickly. So good news. The note was called bad news. We're going into foreclosure. Terrible news. We had to go bankrupt. Not me personally. The company, because we buy these properties in company names, right? So the company had to declare bankruptcy to save it. We get an agreement with the federal court. We can't honor it because the title company that we had originally chosen was the problem to begin with. We lose the property to foreclosure. It gets foreclosed on. It gets sold at the courthouse steps. It gets passed on to another investor. We then have to find a lender to be able to handle all these things and get it out of redemption. And that's exactly what we did. Lemons to lemonade.
Yeah.
Well, that was
So that's a little bit different than your stories, a little bit more harrowing and takes a little bit more skill.
And knowledge.
And experience and balls of steel, because I will tell you that the other partners that were in on this were upset. They were yelling. They were, how could I let this happen?
Well, because clearly there's corruption going on between
It's a
the
good old boys
title
town.
company
So how did you find out?
and the bank. Like that in itself is. And I know this shit goes on, but obviously, yes, if I was a partner in that, I would be very upset, maybe curled in a corner for a little bit, sucking my thumb at one point. But if you don't have that knowledge that to get out of it, many people, 99.9999999% of the people would have threw their hands up at that point.
But
Shit.
How did you find out that the brother was involved in the title company and the bank? Like
That's something that was told to me after we had redeemed it,
by whom?
by someone that told me after we redeemed
Oh,
it.
interesting.
And that-
So it wasn't bank related or them related. Interesting.
So that's why you didn't go on the angle of basically corruption or whatever, because you didn't know these facts.
Even had I known prior to that, what
They
am I
still
going
did it
to
within
do?
the law. They
What
still
am I
did it
going to
within
do?
the law
They
to
took
do
the
that.
property back. They did all
Yeah.
this. Could I have recourse now, today, and maybe go after the title company? Possibly. And the bank? Possibly. The bank did what they were supposed to do. The title company, all they did was close on a
So
day.
you
There's
can't
nothing.
fault them for closing.
Do I prove that it was because of me? They had other closing scheduled that day. I wasn't the only one that got screwed. I was in that, sorry,
Yeah.
can't do closings today, got to do it Monday. What's the worst that can happen? Well,
for
in my
others, maybe
case,
not. Yeah,
the
the
worst, right? What's the worst that can happen? Marco gets fucked. But I didn't let that get me down, right? So understand that just because something bad happens doesn't mean you have to say it's the end of the world. And that if you understand the law and how to play within, and I mean play within the tightrope of that law, you can make a ton of money by just doing things that are perfectly legal but end up making you a shit ton of money.
Or drive you to drink.
Or drive me to sparkling water.
Waterism.
Yes. We have so many stories, it's ridiculous. You've had stabbings, you've had people shoot themselves on property. Suicides, you've had fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, sinkholes. I had a hotel purchased 4 days after purchase going into the ground. All sorts of things happen. And are we going to stop the business? Absolutely not. They're just great stories, and there's always an opportunity if you just understand how to capitalize on it. So with that, hopefully this was mildly entertaining and not too harrowing and scary. And it doesn't dissuade you from having a ton of fun in the cash flow business, in this crazy business we call real estate. See you on the next episode.
If you like this episode of Big Fat Real Estate Checks, then show some love by leaving a comment and a good rating. Also, as a thank you for tuning in today, we've got a special free gift. The journey to passive cash flow for a life starts by finding deals, and it's easier than you think. Simply go to getdealsbytuesday.com, enter your email address, and we'll send you a free quick start course called Deals by Tuesday. Even if it's 11 p.m. Monday night, this course will show you how to find discounted real estate deals by Tuesday. It's that fast and simple. Go to getdealsbytuesday.com and start your journey toward life-changing cash flow today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.